to Season 2, Episode 7 of One Man's Opinion, where I review professional theater. Today I am reviewing Khaled Hosseini's The Kite Runner, adapted by Matthew Spangler and directed by Giles Croft, and running on a limited run through October 30th at the Hayes Theater on Broadway at 240 West 44th Street in New York City. The Kite Runner made quite a splash in a literary world when the novel was released in 2003, causing some degree of controversy with its depiction of interactions between Pashtun and Hazaras Arabs in Afghanistan in the 1970s, leading up to the invasion of the Soviet Union that started in 1979, especially graphic scenes of violence which included male-on-male rape and a sadist with a penchant for biting people's ears off. I have not read the novel, nor have I seen the film of The Kite Runner, so I'm not going to draw comparisons between the three. If something sounds not congruous with the novel or the film, I can only suppose that it is because something has changed in the adaptation for the stage. The Kite Runner follows Amir, played by Amir Arison. Amir is our narrator throughout the play as he recounts his childhood in Kabul, Afghanistan. He is a well-to-do Pashtun Afghan whose domineering father, Baba, played by Farhan Tahir, has a general disdain for his bookish, aspiring writer of a son. Amir has a servant, Hassan, played by Eric Sarakian, who also is his best friend, but also happens to be a Hazaras Afghan. The Hazaras and the Pashtun have been historically bitter rivals with each other. The conflict comes to a head during a kite running competition, an annual event involving chasing after downed kites and using your own kite to take other kites out of the sky. After the explanation in the show, I still wasn't quite sure as to what the rules and method exactly are, but its portrayal is at least entertaining. Regardless, a trio of hoodlum Pashtun Afghan led by the sadistic Asif, played by Amir Malaklu, attacks Hassan, during which Asif rapes Hassan as Amir watches in hiding. The event and Amir's inaction becomes the impetus of the rest of the story for Amir, as his guilt for not taking action to defend his friend haunts him the rest of his life and affects how he chooses to conduct himself and stand up for himself in future conflict. After fleeing Afghanistan with Baba to San Francisco, he is married to Soraya, played by Azita Ganazada, and given the opportunity to redeem himself when an old family friend, Rahim Khan, played by Dariush Kashami, informs him of an opportunity to adopt an Afghan child before the Taliban get a hold of him, who has a link to Hassan. The Kite Runner has a lot of good stuff in it. Barney George's scenic design, coupled with William Simpson's projection design and Charles Balfour's lighting design, create a delicate contour of shapes and colors in the background that portray the urban neighborhoods of Kabul or the city skyscapes of San Francisco. Amir Arison and Eric Sarakian's performances are tender and endearing. The two love each other in a way that I could only compare to the biblical David and Jonathan of the Old Testament. Though there isn't any implicit sexual action between the two, the performances up until the aforementioned rape scene present an almost sensuality in how much the two care for each other. Sarakian's performance through the rest of Hassan's story arc is painfully tragic to watch. Arison's performance with everyone else is awkward in an intentionally good way. He is so full of shame, and coupled with his social anxiety as it already stands, he is both pitiable and also disappointing in his cowardice. The only time he ever feels any sense of confidence is around Soraya, which is rather sweet. The problem with The Kite Runner is the overuse of narration, which is a pet peeve of mine. It really slows down the pace of the story as Amir will detail an event narrating it to the audience, and then a scene will happen that either shows or says the exact same thing Amir said minutes earlier. For example, near the end of the play, Amir details a traumatic event. We then move to a scene in a hospital where the exact same information is detailed again. It's redundant and unnecessary and happens multiple times throughout. The play could have easily cut out 15 to 30 minutes of its 2.5-hour runtime by being more economic with its storytelling. Another problem with the play is its sometimes jarring tonal shifts. The first act gets rather harrowing as tragedy strikes upon tragedy. This leads to a feeling of disorientation as the play shifts to San Francisco, and we get a more or less light romantic dramedy for the next 30 to 45 minutes. I'm not saying the story shouldn't go there. It's a matter of transitioning there and then transitioning to Taliban-occupied Afghanistan. It's clunky, and the flow between these three parts of the play could have been done with a bit more fluidity. Still, The Kite Runner is a recommended piece of theater. It's not going to be for everyone. It's got some very disturbing scenes, and those triggered by things like sexual assault or attempted suicide may want to take a pass. What is most commendable, and maybe most important for The Kite Runner being on Broadway, is that it brought people of Middle Eastern and South Asian descent to the theater, which is awesome to see. I've never seen so many people representing that part of the world in a Broadway house. That, coupled with a solid cast of actors, most making their Broadway debut, with ethnic backgrounds from all over that region, is exciting to see. It gives me hope that we will see more diverse representation in theater in the future. But I am only one man's opinion, so be sure to leave yours in the comments below. If you're interested in seeing The Kite Runner, I'll leave a link in the description to their website where you can purchase tickets. You can support my channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Also hit the notification bell to be alerted to future reviews. My next review will be TheaterWorks Hartford's premiere production of Secondo. Thank you for watching, and I will see you at the theater.